Welcome back to another edition of Vikings Film Room, brought to you by the Vikings Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Pete Bercich. Well, let the Jaren Hall era begin. So let's take a dive in this 6th-ranked Atlanta defense to see some offensive opportunities, and then take a look at a rookie that our defense is going to have to stop. Now, one of the ways this Viking offense can succeed on this defense is through play action, and we got a great example of it right here with the Tennessee Titans. What you're going to see first, though, is motion, and they just want to move the vision of this defensive back so he doesn't see this tight end coming across his face. Now, it's a pretty simple play. It doesn't net him a ton of yards, but this is one of the bigger plays early on in the game. But with a young quarterback with Jaren Hall, his athleticism, I think the bootleg could be a big part of the game plan. Now, a recurring theme against this Falcon defense is taking shots deep, and we're going to see the Titans do that exact same thing right here. However, they do it a little differently. In this case, you get the tight end moving around. Now, he's lined up like a fullback. These linebackers from Atlanta attack. This linebacker's getting ready to take on this ISO block, but it's not quite an ISO block, as we will see. This is the old school, get the fullback up the field. Now, this guy's as wide open as we've ever seen. Doesn't come down with the football, but opportunities down the field on bootleg and play action are there. Now, another recurring theme with this Atlanta defense, their safeties kind of get themselves out of position, and we're going to show a perfect example of that right here. Tennessee has a bunch formation up top, but watch DeAndre Hopkins and what ends up happening. Now, they're playing basically quarters here. This safety is supposed to be driving on this in route. This guy has no business being really where he is. He can sit right where he's standing and work with anything coming across the field. That's his job in this case. However, you watch him. He turns himself around, gets completely lost, doesn't even get a hand on DeAndre Hopkins, so the safeties get themselves out of position. All right, so we talked about bootleg, play action, deep shots. Well, here's exactly another example of that. The play action down here, but watch this receiver. He's working his way up and then to the corner. Now, that safety doesn't know if he wants the man turn, whether he wants a zone turn, but look at all this space. Levis throwing just a bomb deep for the touchdown. But again, these safeties sometimes get themselves tied up. All right, how about without play action or any bootlegs? Let's just take another look at this one. Now, this play is all about football awareness right here, because as you can see, you only have a 3-man rush going on here. So when you know it's a 3-man, really it's a 2-man, but a 3 or 2-man rush, these safeties know keep everything in front of you. And oh, by the way, this is DeAndre Hopkins screaming up the field. All Hopkins does is really a little bit of a stutter step. The safety plants his feet, right? Quits moving his feet, thinks he's going to drive this dig. Well, Hopkins says, no, I'm going to keep running deep, and look at that separation. So these safeties sometimes get a little too aggressive and they get out of position. All that means there are going to be opportunities deep. All right, we've talked about the safeties. What about the corners? Well, a little bit of a reoccurring theme with these corners is they take their eyes and look back at the quarterback and then have a tendency to lose their receivers. Right here, Okuda's in perfect position right here, a little, widening, trying to get that receiver to the sideline, but he decides to look back, and when he looks back, watch what happens. All of a sudden, you get this separation. Now, that was an incomplete pass, but an opportunity down the sideline to take a shot deep. Another example of the corners getting turned around, let's take a look at this one. All right, up on top, you're going to see the big cushion. The corner does a great job of widening Hopkins to the sideline, making him run out of real estate. The problem is he turns and looks back, and for some reason loses that body position. This is a floater. I mean, this ball is up, but DeAndre's able to work back inside and make the big play. Now, defensively, the one guy you absolutely have to stop is this guy, Bijan Robinson. Very, very good running back. Let's take a look at some of the plays that he made last Sunday. On this first one, you'll notice they're a very good outside zone team, but with Bijan in there, they like to do these double teams. They get the double teams up front. Now, this linebacker sees this opening and he wants to take it. But if you're going to do it, you better make the play. In this case, he's scot-free, still misses the ankle tackle. But look at the move on Robinson, another 10, 12, 15 yards after contact. This kid's really good. All right, another view, a sideline view of a run, and it's mainly just to showcase the speed of Robinson if you give him a lane. In this case, they motion the wide receiver, they're pulling a DB, but watch this defensive end. He gets himself way up the field. This interior tackle isn't there. There's nobody on the second level coming over. And what does that do? that opens up a huge lane, and you can't do that against this guy. He takes his handoff about 7 yards deep, and before you know it, he's north and south. That's speed. Now, like to see a better move on the cornerback. My point, you give this kid a lane, he's going to burn you. Now, what does this Atlanta offense do well? The outside run. They do a very, very good job of this. And in this case, you're going to see the down block by the tight end. This tackle's going to pull in space. The key is that right guard, reach in this 3 technique. Watch how this play unfolds. Block down, you pull, you get to the outside, and what do you get? You have a hat on a hat, right here, and right there. And then you have a free tackler for this last guy on the outside. And then again, what we talked about, do not give a lane to Robinson. He's going to take this thing north and south, strings it out, makes a good cut, but that's a big run on the outside, and they do it quite often. And oh, by the way, we're not the only team with a quarterback controversy. They start with Ritter, they finish with Heineke. We don't know who we're going to face, but we do know they're going to run this play. Again, another outside play. Down block on the outside, tackle, pull. They do this so well. Wide receivers do a great job of blocking, defensive ends, and the linemen do a great job in space. So you're going to see the quick toss, the motion, quick toss. Now, what do they have? They have it set up. Block here, block here. There's no way that this safety is going to be able to make this play. I think he's counting on the linebacker to be outside, but you give this kid just a little bit of a lane, and you're not going to get him before he gets in the end zone. And another thing that this Atlanta offense does well is they use motion, shifts, different things to get you out of position defensively. This is a perfect example. This is something like Kevin O'Connell and those guys were doing when he was out with the Rams. You see this tight end go in motion, and just before he sets, that defensive end gets outside, creates this lane right here. We can see it before the ball's even snapped. This offensive line, they have their angles, double team up to the linebacker, fold in a tight end, and they get a nice 8-9 yard run. So nothing explosive, but it's right there, and they do a good job blocking it up front. So for Jaren Hall, the first thing he's going to see are opportunities deep. Got to run the football, got to keep him on the move, but the possibility's there for a big play. And then, oh, by the way, defensively, we need to stop that running back.